what happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is king.
Good morning. The U.S. military has launched what appears to be a sixth airstrike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. And unlike previous attacks we've seen, this time an official says there were survivors among the crew that were targeted. No word overnight how many people may have been killed. But meanwhile, tensions in the region are escalating. President Trump has authorized CIA operations in Venezuela and is considering ground strikes.
This morning, President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, is speaking out after being charged with 18 counts of retention and transmission of national defense information.
I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy, yeah.
Bolton is accused of sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about government activities. The indictment claims he used a personal email account to share notes about his day-to-day activities with his wife and daughter, neither of whom has proper security clearance. The notes allegedly included information labeled top secret. The indictment claims the emails were later hacked by someone associated with the Iranian government.
On Thursday, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced the arrest of Radule Bajovic, who they say is an immigrant from Montenegro and working as a sworn police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the officer is accused of being in the country illegally after his tourist visa expired in 2015. According to state records, Bajovic has been with the police department since January and was certified by the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board in August.
Just announced a second summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin to try to negotiate peace in Ukraine. He says that it will happen in Budapest. No date yet on this.
President Trump will host Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the White House to discuss the ongoing war with Russia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily. We are here live in Washington, D.C. And folks, you go and look at everything that's happening today. You look at everything that's happening in our country, and we do have to take a step back. Patriots are winning. Today is October 2025, and the Patriot surge is on. Whether you look at what's happening in the legal field, on the legal front, we look what's happening with ICE, we look what's happening with immigration, all of this comes together to show very clearly Patriots are on the offense. And it wasn't always like this. In fact, it hasn't been like this for some time. Typically, what you'll do is you'll see Republicans responding to evidence. You'll see Republicans responding to narratives, stories, all sorts of stuff. But instead, they won't actually be fighting back. They won't actually be doing anything. They won't actually be running the narrative. They won't actually be pushing back. But now it's time. Now it's 100% time. Because here's the situation, folks. We only have a little bit of time left. The elections are in 18 days this year. So when we're looking at the statewide elections in New Jersey, the statewide elections in Virginia, then we're also looking at the elections in a number of other states, New York City, by the way, where they just had that debate between Mamdani. They had that debate with Sliwa, the debate with Cuomo. And I'm just going to say it, folks. It looks like Mamdani is going to win. It really looks like this. Demographics is destiny. Demographics, the push for open borders, the push for allowing migrant after migrant to come into our country. And we really have to ask ourselves, 2.5 decades after 9/11, how is it possible that on a New York City debate stage, we get a question? Why didn't you go to mosques as governor? This question was going to Governor Cuomo. And so you really sit there and you think, how is that possible? How is it possible that such a question even gets asked? Well, because the growth of the Muslim population. The growth of the population has gotten to the point where Muslims in New York City now constitute a very serious voting demographic, and a demographic, by the way, that the people of New York care about a lot. And so this becomes asked. See, you go back to the 1950s, what did you see in New York City? You saw the 3 crosses of cavalry displayed across the New York City skyline on Good Friday. That was the character of New York City. That was the character of America. It was Christian. But through open borders, through demographic change, what have we seen? We've now seen the open Christian character of America change. And now America has become a place where there's plurality, where there's multiculturalism, and where the people who live in these vicinities, particularly New York City, have said, you know what? We want to be multiple characters. We want multiple cultures here. So when you hear people like Cuomo, when you hear people like Sliwa referencing the previous culture of New York City, they're referring to old New York. Mamdani, that's new New York. And the question is, what do we want? What do we want for America's greatest city? Well, go look over at London. Charlie Kirk was over in London, one of his last trips on Earth. And when he came back from London, what did he say? He said, London is becoming Islamic. Something has changed, and London is becoming Islamic. They've let all these Muslims in, and suddenly they're changing the character. And guess what, folks? London is just a few years ahead of where we are. Folks, we'll be right back. Senator Marsha Blackburn joins us next. Human Events Daily, Real America's Voice.